started happening, and he got that like evil, like crazy guy face, I was like, oh yeah, it's going down now. He just looked like it was almost like he was happy. Like finally, I can be me. I can be this ruthless, guy that I actually am, and I don't have to play this, leader of the people anymore. What did you think
Yeah,
of that?
absolutely. I've been waiting for that because I mean, not to spoil anything, I'm not going to. But in the comic books, he's a lot more sinister. He's a lot more sinister. He's a lot more evil, and he does a lot more weird things. I think is the best way to put it. And I've been waiting for him to kind of break from this almost like even the way he looks. I mean, he looks just like someone's dad,
Hmm.
and it's kind of a bit weird. But I do like that he has the potential to become this maniacal, uber villain, I suppose, and wreak havoc on Rick's group. So yeah, it's nice to see that it's finally moving on and he's doing something. Because that's the problem with this season so far. I liked the governor and I do like him, but the whole thing with him and is it Andrea? It's I got a bit tired of that.
Yeah, I have to say that just was just like, oh, come on. Because you wanted to have just, to rewind, Andrea has been with Michonne all winter long. You would think she would have developed a more critical and
Mm,
hardened edge, and it was like she just melted immediately into this, oh, I'm a stupid, woman again. Like you have been on your
yeah.
own hardcore for months, and yet you are that easily like disarmed? Come on. Come on. Ah,
Yeah,
strangle her.
I agree. I actually have a note here that I wrote down. I think she's a bit superfluous to the show in that she kind of goes with the just what everyone says.
Mm-hmm.
She's all. It's almost like she's becoming the new T-Bone, T-Dog,
T-Dog, yeah.
T-shirt, T-pop, whatever his name was. I don't T something anyway. But yeah, it's almost like she's becoming the hanger on. But he's stuck with Rick's team, but she will just go along with anyone. And I don't know what they're doing with her because they made her this like kind of hard. Gun carry. She learned how to fire a gun, and then she went off with Michonne, and she was killing zombies left, right, and center, and she was this kind of like almost female Rambo figure, and then all of a sudden she finds this quaint little town, falls in love with a maniac, and it's getting a little odd. I don't know what they want to do with her. I
Hopefully kill her like the rest. Just kill her.
see. I hope so, but I think they'll
I don't
have
think
her
they're
evolve
Yeah.
somehow. But then again, you never know. I mean, you never know who's going to die in this show.
True. At the end of the opening scene, where, the Rick and everybody is going through the fence and what have you, why in all of reason would they abandon all their perimeter to go have this confrontation with Merle and Daryl? Granted, I'm sure everybody wanted to know what's going on, but their security has just been breached. They've just had people come in and shoot up the place. Why would they not still have people guarding their walls? Why? Why did they all leave and go to that arena? They just left themselves completely vulnerable for whoever it was. They don't know how many people to come back in and totally take over the place. That is one thing I did not get. I know they needed it so they could get out of there, but they could have still gotten out of there without all of the walls just being abandoned like that. That was like the breaking point in the beginning. I was like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I think you're definitely more of a zombie elitist
Yeah,
than I am.
okay.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think no, it's a good point. They're bound to cut corners in some respects in this show, just to move things along. And I mean, I'll get to a certain point later on. I have a certain note, which and it's quite an important part of the show. It seems that seems like it's ridiculous, but it's probably going to move the show along. But yeah, definitely, just they cut corners every so often. I can deal with it.
Just one guy that maybe they could have killed him or something. I don't know. I was just like, because okay, you like I'm a zombie elitist. If that was my little town, No way would I leave my walls unguarded. No way, not for 5 minutes. That's when stuff happens.
Yeah, but if it was your town, you also wouldn't have fish tanks filled with heads.
Oh, how do you know?
Good point. Good point.
You don't know what kind of evil maniac I could become. No, no, there would not be heads. Maybe fingers and toes. So
Nothing wrong with trophies. Nothing wrong with
just a
trophies.
few, to
Yeah.
remind me where I've been. So okay, I will let you introduce the next topic. What you got?
I think one of the big, well, we addressed it a little bit earlier. Just moving forward a little bit is the whole Merle and Daryl thing, and specifically why. But the day after the show aired, Facebook was ablaze with people, come back, Daryl, we love you, Daryl. And I must have been the only person that thought, great, Daryl's left the group. Because he seems to be this relentless kind of redneck Terminator figure
Hmm.
that just kills all the zombies, and as long as Daryl's there, everything's gonna be okay and everyone's fine. And I actually like that he's separated from the group for once, and I'm not sure how I feel about him being with Merle, but I'm sure we're going to get some development there and find out perhaps a little more about their characters. But I definitely like the fact that he's left the group, specifically because of what I think is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I think there's going to be a switch in leadership coming up. That's all I'm going to say for
Oh,
now.
definitely. We'll have to get into that later.
Yes, I will definitely
Right.
speak more about that later. But yeah, I like the idea of Daryl and Merle being in the wilderness for a little bit, and perhaps Merle will meet his end, or maybe not. Who knows? But I'm definitely I'm gung ho for changes like that. I like the idea of switching characters up and having them do strange things and going different ways. I don't. It's all good and well having them sat around in the prison chatting away, but
Hmm.
I like to see a little new plot lines come in. So yeah, I
Conflict and
was happy with
change.
that.
Yeah, I wasn't happy to see him go. I was like, oh man, they're gonna be so weak and the governor's gonna come and kick all their butts and it's gonna be over. But I can see where you're coming from, and I actually think that, as a writer myself, it was so needed because he was getting so soft. The minute he held that baby,
Yeah,
and it became this swoon fest everywhere. No hating on the swooners. I can see why they go that way. But the minute it was like, oh, he's got a softer side, look at him holding the baby, and oh, this and that, I was like, oh, he's either going to die, or they got to do something really drastic with him, or he's going to lose that edge. He's going to lose his ability to call situations the way that he has been and
right,
survive. So to me, it was almost like he needed to leave because he was getting way soft. I mean, the whole romance between him and Carol that they were sort of hinting at. I think all those things gave him vulnerabilities that would have eventually done him in if they had kept down that path. It would just been a
right,
natural thing for him to be like, because the way he barreled into the inner, sanctum of the prison to find her later, it was almost like the way Rick did. And Rick was crazy too when he was
right,
looking for Lori. And it was like all these, like, those rash actions are what kills you. And you can't be like that. So when you start getting those types of feelings and emotions and you start getting smooshy gushy too much, then that's when the end comes. So I think I didn't like it, but I see why it had to happen. And it'll be interesting to see how the group adjusts. Which brings
yeah.
me to sort of segueing into the newcomers that have reached the prison. First, I want to say, all hail the ramen they were cooking in that cook room. Did you see him? The prisoner was
Oh
serving
yeah,
ramen. I don't know
yeah.
why I picked up on that. I was like, that is so the awesome apocalypse food because there's going to be grocery stores and warehouses filled with those noodles. They're light and easy to transport. And if they're in a prison, because I watch a lot of those prison shows like Hard Time and Locked Up and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
addicted. They have the commissary full of ramen. So I don't know why. I was just so happy to see the ramen. That's just my little tangent. I was like, yay, ramen. I wonder what flavor it is. So
You think they
it's
sponsor it? You think they sponsor the show?
I don't know, but that would have been awesome if they did. I've been like, yeah.
You think
Top ramen, Maruchan, whatever. Bring it on.
next week it's going to be the ramen dead, and just it's going to get even more obvious as the weeks go by.
The ramen dish. Oh goodness gracious. So anyway, besides all that, the newcomers that have come
Yes.
in, and we sort of have the break in